highlight some of the cases that captivated us in 2015 are criminal defense attorneys Jay Apt and Rebecca Nitkin. Thank you guys both for joining us. We have a slew of cases to get to. At one point or another, all of these cases captivated us and took up the headlines. I want to start, and I want to get you, Rebecca, to start us with March 14th. We heard real estate heir Robert Durst arrested on a murder warrant for the killing of Susan Berman 15 years ago. Right. Was this surprising to you?
And you want to know about what we have learned? Do not do a documentary series on television when you possibly are a suspect in 3 murders. Not 1, not 2, but 3. 3 dead bodies, 3 decades, 3 murders, and he already stood trial for murder once, admitted that he killed his neighbor and chopped the neighbor up, but he was acquitted on self-defense.
And to move on, February 24th, Eddie Ray Ruth charged with killing former U.S. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle. Very emotional. What did we learn from that? Rebecca?
Well, you have the entire country enamored with Chris Kyle. He is a real live American hero, and then he wrote a book, so even more people are watching him, and he and his friend Littlefield are taking care of a vet, and the vet kills him. What did we learn? That if you are significantly mentally ill in Texas, you're going to be found guilty instead of insane or not criminally responsible, because their statute only says that you have to determine right from wrong, not that you have to confine your behavior to what society expects. So he is guilty, and that is the end of that.
Right. On April 8th, the jury finds Dzhokhar Tsarnaev guilty of all 30 charges against him for the Boston Marathon bombing.
I think that the exception really wasn't going to be a big significant difference in this case. The problem was that what surprised many is that the defense basically admitted to everything and used the trial, the 2 weeks of the trial, to soften the blow for the defendant, and basically put on 4 witnesses and said the brother Tamerlan did it, the brother Tamerlan did it. He's the one who downloaded all the jihad material, bought the equipment, built the bombs, etc. But they had to overcome 92 witnesses with the most brutal testimony that any normal jurors, they're not prepared to listen to war-torn testimony and look at that unbelievable destruction, body parts flying off, and the blood and the destruction. It was too much for anybody. 92 anecdotes. There was no way this was going to come out any other way.
Okay, so quickly, we only have time for one more case. I want to talk about something that's obviously very recently in the headlines: mistrial for the Baltimore officer William Porter, the first officer charged in the death of Freddie Gray. Surprised by this? Rebecca, I'll start with you, and Jay, you can wrap it up.
Well, I wasn't surprised. I initially said I thought they were charged too early. It was very good that this case stayed in Baltimore. Porter was born in Baltimore a few months earlier than the defendant. They crossed paths. He lives there. He works there. He was tried by jurors of his peers that, they listened. They spent 3 days. They determined that it was a mistrial. And the second part I think that's important is that he was being tried for what he did not do rather than what he did do, and the jurors had a hard time saying a reasonable person in his shoes at the 4th stop might have done the same thing. So I wasn't surprised.
Rebecca Nitkin, I appreciate you both for being here. Very interesting year.